On August 30th, 1976, Milagros vanished. She disappeared the day after her 22nd birthday. She was 4 months pregnant. Her family discovered she had been kidnapped. 47 years later, her family continues to search for her, hoping they can find Milagros.
After my brothers went to the police and they made the missing person report, the case remained active for, my mom was told 5 years. Once the case goes inactive, right? Like it's on file, but there's no active investigation because it's resulted in nothing, like nothing, there was no conclusion of their investigation. So I remember my mom said 5 years, so by 1981, that's when I know that my mom was, there was a sense of like helplessness, like she's giving up on hope that anything will be done. At that point, if my mom was at that place, that's where we left it. Like, we won't talk about this, we won't pursue anymore, so we stopped any private investigation or any inquiry, right? Since the police said, this is a dormant file, That felt like a tough reality that we're not gonna search. I don't know that any of us said like, wow, we stopped. I didn't think we commemorated. I think it was more, we're just gonna let this be. And nothing happened. Like we didn't commemorate a loss, we didn't do anything. We just didn't really talk about it after that. She stopped seeking advice from all the clairvoyant people in this field, and it just became, the reality is we will not know, right? And it would be like, okay, we won't talk about it, we won't pursue anything, and that was it then. We never had any updates. There was never any like, we'll keep you posted. What I do know is that like my sister Maria and my sister Hilda, the one thing that they've always had is the same phone number. Like they still have the same phone numbers from 50 years ago, because that would be the number that my sister, if she ever makes a phone call, it would be their number. Even if there was a police investigation or something came up through the police, they will call my sister Hilda. That was our only lifeline to, if any information is to come to us, they will call Hilda. I started seeking private investigation back in 1990, 1992, 93. And I started out by taking classes. There was a class that there was this private investigator who was an ex-police officer, like find anybody anywhere. And I thought like, oh cool, I'm gonna sign up for this. And it was like how to use technology earlier on in the internet, like when the internet was still kind of like developing. So this is way before social media. So it was learning how to use technology to locate people, missing people, or to find out about what other people were doing through the internet at that point. So that was my earlier experience. And then I learned about FOIL, which is the Freedom of Information Law, which is the law, I believe was in the 70s. It says, we have the right to access records, and in this case, police records. So I started asking like the precinct, the 90th precinct, I would say, hey, this happened to our family, you guys were in charge of the investigation, the detectives here, and the information would be like, yeah, we don't keep those files. Our files are within the main filing system with the NYPD. So that's what I was told, like, we have nothing. They would be curious about what we were saying, but no one ever shared the information. So nothing happened, and I did start to pursue requesting formally those records. Basically, I was told your request is denied because the information is not accurate. Things like, I think I had the wrong date. I thought it was the 27th and not the 30th. So later on, after talking to my family, I was like, I really need to get the actual dates. And it actually took us a very long time to figure it out. None of us could actually remember the actual date. Like, we all knew about her birthday, but we thought, did she celebrate her birthday the week before? We could not pinpoint that it was the day after. That was actually confirmed by her boyfriend. when I started speaking to him, which is actually more recent. But all this to say that a lot of my requests were denied, like access to information. Police said, sure, tell us what information. And I said, here's the information. They said, we have nothing matching that date or that name. And I thought, well, interesting, the date, but my sister was reported missing. And they said, sure, just, submit the information. So for a very long time, it's been denied, like information doesn't match. And in the past 2 years, when we not only learned that the information was reported to the 90th precinct, her boyfriend confirmed with me that he also went to the 114th precinct where they lived. With this information, I'm like, there were 2 police reports. One is not located, and then there was another one that I didn't know of, so I never requested records from the 114th precinct. So this got me really interested in like submitting a FOIL request again with more accurate information. So I was repeatedly told, no, we don't have information for that. I kept appealing their denial, and I kept letting them know, like, this is what the law says, and this is what happened to my family. I have the right to that information, and they kept saying no. So finally, earlier this year, I get an official letter from that particular department with the NYPD saying that, pretty much saying, we cannot produce records that don't exist. We're gonna have to ask you to stop submitting requests, and you're more than welcome to request a court appeal. And I said, oh, I can request a court appeal. That required me to hire lawyers and pretty much go through the legal system and letting the police department know, like, we're serious, like, we know record exists and you're saying no. After getting no consistently for decades from the 90th precinct, now I'm asking, if the 90th precinct doesn't have record, what about the 114th precinct? And they said, no records exist. The lawyers kept pressing and they said, no. We're saying, like, okay, we're stuck. Where do we go next if there's no records? And pretty much the lawyer was saying, well, you have the option of going public and creating some sort of media attention so that perhaps this will reignite interest in the public, and that's one way of getting the police to take your request seriously. And I actually started doing that, which is what led to this year. We had an actual memorial where we got the park permit, we organized a memorial, and we wanted to have a candlelight vigil, and we invited speakers, and we wanted to invite the media. 2 weeks before the event, the attorney for the NYPD sends my lawyer a letter with a copy of a record from the 114th precinct. So finally, we have evidence that there is a police report, and my sister was reported missing, although the report that my family did to the 90th precinct are missing. They're not found. Most of what I've been doing throughout the year, which they've been saying, there's no record from the 90th precinct, we cannot produce records that don't exist. Then I said, allow us to re-report the incident, the crime. My sister was kidnapped and there was a crime. Allow us to re-report it. And they would deny that as well. So we were like, you have no records that it was reported in 1976, and you're not allowing us to re-report. And that also sort of facilitated I am going to use the legal system to have a review for why the police department is denying access to records that we know existed. So in this case, they're saying, well, we don't know that the 90th precinct record existed, but here we have a piece of paper. And basically it's a piece of paper that says her boyfriend, Juan, went to the 114th precinct and provided a report, a one-page report. There is no indication of what was done with that. But it's the one piece of paper that now has a police locator record number. So the importance of the police record number is that is the piece of evidence that would support other departments to activate searches. So for instance, the one department that would handle part of this search case will be the NYPD Missing Person Squad. So to this day, the Missing Person Squad does not have my sister as a missing person because the record that has been found has not gotten to them. So the system requires that in order for the NYPD Missing Person Squad to cooperate with agencies like NAMIS. NAMIS is a national organization that collects remains from missing persons cadaver. They have categorized it, they have stored missing person remains, and through DNA they get reunited with the family. We haven't had access to those services because the NYPD Missing Person Squad does not consider my sister as a missing person because there has been no records from the NYPD.